my name's Ellen and I'm the Interpretation Manager at the MAC, and today for our behind the scenes video we are with Valerie Wall, our Collections Curator, and Dana Bown, our Guest Curator, who will be sharing with us some of the flower sacks that they have recently finished cataloging in our collection. Take it away, Val and Dana.
Hello, I'm Val Wall. I'm the Museum Collections Curator at the Northwest Museum of Arts and Culture, and we're here today down in storage. Particularly, we're in the storage room that holds all of the textiles. And right now, we're working on a future exhibit about flour sacks, and we have our guest curator here, Dana Bown, who's a local textile researcher. We've been working together to find out a little bit more about our flour sacks and thought we might share that with you today.
So the MAC has about 150 flour sacks in their collection, and they are a wonderful window into the wheat industry, which is so important in this region and still important to the state's economy. They also give some insight to a lot of changes that were occurring during the latter part of the 19th century into the early 20th century. People were moving into cities at a greater rate, a lot of industrialization, changes in transportation, changes in technology, and milling technology, and farming technology. A lot of things were happening, and also at the same time, containers were changing. When the sewing machine became widely available in the 1850s, people could now make cotton sacks to hold flour where it had been in barrels before. In the 1880s, modern advertising began to take shape. Before that, when merchants wanted to advertise their products, they would just advertise the benefits of tea or coffee. People began to advertise brands, so branding became important. Modern advertising came into play. So we have these wonderful cotton cloth flour sacks that were designed to contain the flour, but also to sell the brand. Many of the sacks are from mills that were very important to Spokane's economy for many years, ones that people will recognize. Spokane Flour Mills Company. We also have bags from the Sperry Company, which was later bought by General Mills. And the artwork on these is just so wonderful because they're printed on cloth with these wonderful colors and this wonderful artwork. I just find them really fascinating. Particularly interesting are the bags that were meant for export. Today, up to 90% of Washington State's wheat is exported, and that has been true from the beginning. The very first shipments of wheat from Washington Territory were from Walla Walla. Wheat was shipped from Walla Walla to Liverpool in 1868. It's pretty amazing. The farmers had to drive the wagons down rough roads, get it to the Snake River, onto barges. There had to be many steps along the way, lifting it off the barges at rough spots, back onto barges, finally to ports where they were shipped around South America to Liverpool. Today, of course, it's much faster, but we have these wonderful sacks, many of which were intended for the Asian market through Hong Kong merchants. And here's an example of one. There's about 24 of these, and the artwork on them is just fascinating. We also have some sacks that were meant for a shipment to El Salvador and also to the Philippine Islands. So I find those especially lovely. We've also, I mentioned the bigger mills that are known as Spokane, like Spokane Flour Mills and Sperry, and of course Centennial Mills, but there were a number of smaller mills around the state. It's hard to see the lettering. This is the Grange Milling Company from Davenport, Washington. And we've got this from the Gillis Flour and Cereal Company in Opportunity, Washington. So we have a number of sacks like these from the smaller mills. At one time, there have been about 160 different mills in Washington state. Today there are just two. They're both owned by one large global company, but one is in Spokane and one is in Cheney. So during the 1920s, flour began to be shipped in paper sacks more often, and the cotton manufacturers sort of banded together and rallied to make some changes that would appeal to customers and help sell the cotton sacks. So they began to print the flour sacks with prints that could be used for making clothes or other household items. So people could go to the store and look for the print that they wanted. So we have 3 examples here. Collectively, they're known as feed sack prints. We've got 3 examples here. This one actually has 2. So you could see the homemaker could go to the store and she could look for a number of teddy bear sacks and have enough to make maybe a child's costume or an apron or pajamas or something like that.